Hello and welcome to the news at 10 on Nta News24. We're live in Abuja. I am Dennis Adegunloye. Thanks for joining us. The headlines. Planned nationwide protest. Federal government in extensive consultations and deliberations to convince promoters. Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun engages heads of paramilitary agencies, pledges to protect peaceful protesters. Senate queries 4.2 billion naira allocation to unverified workers at Ajaukuta Stadium 2024 budget. Duties and intergovernmental affairs on national intervention project. We begin at the State House, where Vice President Kashim Shettima has reported the actualization of the programs and policies of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration, insisting that the president means well for all Nigerians. He stated this when he received representatives of media practitioners from the northern part of the country on a visit at the presidential villa. State House correspondent Abdulrahman Jibrilla reports that the Vice President spoke on the planned nationwide protest, acknowledging the right of citizens to protest, noting, however, that it is in its own demerits that are not pleasant. The Vice President said current President's for security, communications technology, health, and allied services, among other positions in the federal government.
Bola Ahmed Tinubu is neither anti-North nor anti-Islam. But this is a multi-ethnic, multi-religious nation, and we have to see to the coloration of all tendencies. He loves the North. He is working for the North. One of the pet programs of this government is the Badagry-Lagos, Badagry-Sokoto Highway that has 64 dams along the pathway. And we are going to develop all those 64 dams. Who created the Ministry of Livestock Development? And who are going to be the net beneficiaries of this Ministry of Livestock Development? We have machines for producing net houses in Borno. If we can get the machine working, we can mass produce net houses that can bring down the ambient temperature by 2 degrees, and we can empower our women.
The Vice President maintained that the present administration has genuine intentions to transform the lives of many in the North through laudable initiatives geared towards addressing the issues confronting the people, citing the resettlement scheme for persons impacted by conflict and the creation of the Ministry of Livestock Development as examples. The Vice President said President Tinubu means well for the North. Speaking further about the need for the media to rally round the present administration, the Vice President said taking to the streets to protest will not guarantee any form of development for the region. Unified commitment to peace and order, critical stakeholders and residents of Katsina State have rejected the planned nationwide protest. At a media meeting convened by Acting Governor Farouk Lawal, participants reached a consensus to distance themselves from the demonstration. Awal Haliru has more.
The meeting of critical stakeholders, community leaders and interest groups, including Nigeria Union of Road Transport Workers, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria (IFMAN), and various youth organizations, discussed extensively and reached a common stand on the planned nationwide protest. Acting Governor Farouk Lawal emphasized the potential risks of the protest, including property damage, loss of lives, and economic disruption. He encouraged residents to participate in the state's annual Thanksgiving ceremony known as Yom Shokur instead.
All the other stakeholders that were widely consulted are of the opinion that we should not join this protest. They have made their points very clear, and instead of us to be fighting two battles, the civil government should not be distracted. We should focus on the issue of banditry, kidnapping, and other related crimes, rather than resorting to protest.
The meeting was attended by top government officials, security agencies, and interest groups. State Commissioner of Police Aliu Abubakar Musa urged those still wishing to protest to notify the police to ensure peaceful assembly. In a separate development, the Katsina State government announced the successful delivery of 20 trucks of rice allocated by the federal government. A committee has been established to ensure equitable distribution. The state government has also provided palliative support to alleviate hardship faced by residents. In Katsina, Awal Halliru, NTA News.
Personal assistant to the President on Constituency Affairs, Khadijat Nta Karim, is calling on those behind the planned nationwide protests to shelve them in the best interests of the country. Karim made the appeal in Abuja while speaking with newsmen on the need for agitators to embrace dialogue and refrain from acts that could jeopardize the peace of the nation. Tokbe Alabi reports.
The personal assistant to the President on Constituency Affairs, Khadijat Nta Karim, in an interview believes there is really no need for the protests again because most of those things that the protesters are putting forward are already being addressed by the President.
Please be patient with Mr. President. What is not enough will remain. We don't need to protest at this moment. We just need to come together and share ideas, solutions. What can we do to make Nigeria great again?
She believes the protest could be hijacked by persons who want to cause anarchy in the system, urging those behind the protest to listen to the various wise counsels and embrace dialogue as the government was willing to do all it can for the overall well-being of the people.
Protests can lead to damages of properties, shed of blood, and we don't want such to happen in our country again. I'm appealing to my fellow Nigerians. Let's be calm. Mr. President has done a lot without sentiment. He just approved the minimum wage.
While highlighting some of the interventions made so far to ameliorate current economic challenges, the President's aide noted the distribution of food items through the state governors across the country, implementation of students' loan and sale of food at subsidized prices, as well as the signing into law of the Minimum Wage Act by the President are all geared towards addressing the pains Nigerians are going through.
I want to urge my fellow appointees at the federal level to fall back to their state and engage people. And they also need to let them understand the fact that Mr. President is working tirelessly to fix Nigeria that works for all.
In the last few months, President Tinubu's personal assistant on constituency affairs had engaged different stakeholders, including traditional rulers, women, and youths in Kogi, Jigawa, Niger, Anambra, Taraba, and Zamfara states, throwing conversations around the critical needs geared towards cascading the renewed hope agenda of the present administration to the various constituents. In Abuja, Tokbe Alabi, NTA News.
Let's head to the National Assembly now, where the Senate is due to commence an emergency session to deliberate on salient national issues, principally the planned nationwide protests will top the agenda, no doubt. We now join National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali to update us on what we're to expect. Hello, Lami. Just give us an update of what we're expecting to transpire once the session begins.
All right. Thank you very much, Dennis. Let me begin by saying that emergency sittings are nothing strange or nothing new to Parliament. This is the second time that the 10th National Assembly, and in particular the 10th Senate, is calling for an emergency sitting. Now, usually emergency sittings are done when the parliament is on recess, and then members have to be recalled to attend to some bills or matters that are of national importance. Remember that before the Senate went on break, that was on Tuesday, 23rd July 2024, they passed the National Minimum Wage Bill, and then they also passed the Police Act Amendments Bill. Now, both bills were forwarded to Mr. President, and already Mr. President has endorsed his assent to the National Minimum Wage Bill. On that same day, some bills, money bills related to the implementation of the national minimum wage were also passed. So from feelers that we are getting from some of the lawmakers that we've contacted, we hear that today's sitting, which is going to commence by 12 noon here in the Red Chamber, is in relation to some amendments related to the bills that were passed. Now, the additional 6.2 trillion naira that was granted approval by the National Assembly, the implementation of the national minimum wage, which was added to the 28.7 trillion, bringing up the budget figure to 35.055 trillion. Now we hear that that is the bill that the legislators are going to be attending to today, and so we are going to keep watch and see if other matters are going to come up. And obviously, as you also mentioned, the nationwide protest, which is an
All right, Lami, thank you for that update. You've lost your connection, but we've got the general idea of what we're going to expect at once the sitting commences around 12 noon. Thank you, Lami. And from the Senate, we move to the House of Representatives, where Nta News24 is earnestly waiting to keep us abreast with events at the lower chamber. All right, we hear that Nta is getting ready to join us. We'll get to him as soon as we can. The National Youth Council of Nigeria and some democracy and social groups are advocating for an urgent National Youth Conference where government officials and youth leaders across the country can identify problems and purpose both long and short-term solutions. They unanimously urged the youths not to participate in the planned nationwide protest slated for August 1st, as Timothy Yusuf tells us. All right, so we'll get that report as well in the course of the bulletin. Now, amid inflation resulting in high cost of transportation and other essential services, development experts are advising the federal government to sustain its commitment to providing alternative sources to premium motor spirits to ease transportation and actively involve the private sector to secure capital and help the federal government achieve the quest. Over now to Kunle Adeye for details.
To tame the current inflation in Nigeria, development experts have emphasized that cost of transportation, which is responsible for movement of goods and services, must be affordable. The federal government has keyed into this by providing alternatives to premium motor spirits and diesel vehicles like electric-powered vehicles and others. They are now calling for active involvement of the private sector to maximally realize the initiative. They say this will make Nigeria a hub for electric vehicle innovation and excellence in Africa. Consequently, electric motor vehicle company, the Nigerian Electric Mobility Firm, has secured a $275 million foreign direct investment agreement with a leading Chinese conglomerate. CEO of Electric Motor Vehicle, Mustafa Audu, said this will aid industrialization, infrastructure development, and sustainable technologies to drive economic growth and attract foreign investment in the electric vehicle sector. He also emphasized that these will create jobs and reduce the pressure on the naira by increasing foreign exchange earnings through the export of electric vehicles and components. The House of Representatives Committee on Public Assets has asked the Ministry of Finance to give account of various investments it has undertaken in recent times. This was when the management of MOFI appeared before lawmakers to shed light on its activities.
List of these assets, home and abroad. List of these assets, home and abroad. Improvement that you have made thereupon, and how it has helped our GDP.
We are a federal government entity that focuses on, one, ensuring that the federal government assets are accounted for, they are optimized for the benefit of the federal government, which is different from the federation. The second aspect of it is that every time federal government has to make an investment decision and managing that, they don't need to consult with state governments or the local government.
With Business News, I'm Kunle Adeyeye.
You're watching the news at 10 on Nta News24. We'll have a short break. More reports in a moment. Stay with us.
Nigeria, a land of rich culture and diverse voices, where every voice matters. In times of disagreement, let's choose dialogue over discord. Together, we can find solutions through understanding and respect. Let's build a stronger Nigeria, one conversation at a time. Dialogue, not protest. Unity, not division. Nigeria, united in dialogue.
Thanks for staying with us. The National Youth Council of Nigeria and some democracy and social groups are advocating for an urgent National Youth Conference where government officials and youth leaders across the country can identify problems and propose both long and short-term solutions. They unanimously urge the youths not to participate in the planned nationwide protest slated for August 1st. Timothy Yusuf reports.
We also made our position known to
the National President of the National Youth Council of Nigeria, Sukubo Saraigbe Sukubo, at a media briefing in Abuja, is recommending a meeting with the National Security Advisor to meet delegations of the youth community to discuss government plans to reduce high cost of living.
These are things we feel that it is very, very important for the President to know.
The Nigeria Youth for Democracy on its part believes protest is unnecessary but called for National Renewed Hope Summit where all challenges can be discussed.
While we understand the frustration and challenges facing our youth, we are convinced that destructive protest will only hinder the progress we all desire.
The leadership of the National Female Students Association of Nigeria is similarly urging dialogue as the best way to resolve disagreement, describing protest as counterproductive.
Let us not be driven by anger and frustration, but rather by a shared vision of a Nigeria that is safe, secure, and prosperous for all its citizens.
Young Entrepreneurs of Nigeria is also calling on Nigerian youth to shun the planned August 1 protest and give President Tinubu more time to tackle the economic challenges bedeviling the nation.
We all have to consider the long-term benefits of the president's economic reforms across many sectors of our economy.
Meanwhile, a combined three groups, Take It Back, North Central Chapter, Middle Belt Economic Forum, and Renewed Hope Prosperity Ambassadors have called off the planned protest in the northern states, including Abuja. The group cited concerns about the potential for destabilization and harm to their communities as the reason for their decision.
Alarmingly, therefore,
This process has already garnered the endorsement of political opposition leaders who prioritize their own interests above the well-being of the citizenry.
Their decision was made after a careful appraisal of the situation and a fruitful interaction with some stakeholders in government. Timothy Yusuf, Nta News.
Meanwhile, Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetukun has held a meeting with the Department of State Services and heads of other paramilitary agencies and has reiterated the commitment of the force to protecting peaceful protesters during the planned protest. Francis Fom reports.
The NSAS protest.
Reflecting on the 2020 NSAS protest, where police stations were burnt down, arms looted, IGP Egbetukun explains that the security agencies will under no circumstance allow a repeat of the 2020 NSAS.
In those places where police stations were burnt down, women could no longer come out once it is 7 p.m. because they get raped on the streets. That is not the experience we want again. So we are doing everything possible to make sure that we stop any violent protest in Nigeria at this time.
Similarly, the force says it has received credible intelligence indicating that certain individuals are planning to infiltrate the protest and cause chaos. They call on the leaders and organizers of the protest to interface with the police and provide vital information, such as contact details for ease of communication, locations, routes, and schedules. This collaboration, the force says, will enable them to deploy personnel. In another development, the force has apprehended a 34-year-old man whose video went viral on TikTok, inciting violence against state critical infrastructure, law enforcement agencies, and private individuals in Plateau State in connection with the planned protest. The force enjoins those who may want to protest to exercise their rights responsibly within the ambit of the law. Francis from Nta News.
Staying with the planned nationwide protest, a pressure group concerned citizens of Nigeria has expressed worry over the effect that the planned nationwide protest could have on small and medium-scale enterprises, making their position known. Of those planning the protest, emphasizing that the policies of the Tinubu administration require time and patience to reach maturity, besides the policies with low-hanging fruits.
The President has put in place both fundamentally long-term and immediate solutions to alleviate the sufferings of citizens. These include, but not limited to, the removal of fuel subsidy, the move which frees up financial resources for the growth and development of other critical sectors of the economy. In the long run, it will lower the fuel production cost by providing direct financial support to the oil firms, thereby lowering the fuel prices for Nigerians. We use this opportunity to congratulate and appreciate Mr. President on reaching an agreement with organized labor on minimum wage, with a reasonable upward shift from the previous peak.
Meanwhile, the national president of the National Council for Women Societies, Geraldine Itaituk, is appealing to youths to consider alternative methods of dialogue in addressing some challenges in the country. Mrs. Etuk, in a statement, acknowledges the current economic situation in the country and says she feels the pain, but insists protest might not be the best option at the moment. She says Nigerians must unite to build Nigeria's future that will guarantee a better nation. The Minister of State for Youth Development, Ayodele Olawande, says aggressive engagement of youth through the renewed hope mantra of President Tinubu is key to changing the ugly narratives of youth restiveness, drug abuse, and other social vices. The minister stated this when she paid a courtesy visit to the management of the Northeast Mission to seek collaboration in the area of youth developments in the region. We'll bring you Yakubu's reports in the course of the bulletin. Now, the Nigerian Television Authority has again been recognized as the best TV station of the year by the charismatic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria. The leader of the conference, Leonard Bature Kawas, disclosed this during a courtesy visit to the management of the NTA. Daniel Adiri reports that the bishops commended efforts of the NTA in promoting peace and national unity.
Often referred to as men and women of the clergy, they are known mostly for dwelling and propagating the gospel from the pulpit. But the Charismatic Bishops' Conference of Nigeria took the message of the gospel one step further by seeking out the Director General of the NTA, who was represented by the Executive Director Administration and Training, Nansel Nimio. And no, it wasn't for a sermon, rather a message of gratitude and acknowledgement.
I've traveled to 74 countries preaching the gospel. And I realized that every country that I have gone to, Nigerians there are seeing NTA. They are watching NTA through one way or the other. So we're calling on Nigerians to be patient with the government and to join us, to be prayerful, to be prayerful. We hear of news of nationwide protests here and there. We feel that Nigerians should give the government some time, and also be supportive and be prayerful.
NTA, tries to provide the alternative. We try to project the truth as it is. And we can only do that, if we're able to partner with organizations like yours, to push the truth into the public, space. Otherwise, many of our people, especially the youth who spend a lot of time on the internet, would be misled by what they see or what they read.
A big applause for the NTA, you might say, but that was not all.
We hereby present to the Nigerian Television Authority the CBCN Television Network of the year 2023-2024. Meritorious Service Award presented to Salihu Abdul Hamid Dembos. Keep the good work going.
In Abuja, Daniel Adiriye, NTA News.
You're still on to the news at 10 on Nta News24. We'll take another break. Stay with us.
Nigeria, a land of rich culture and diverse voices, where every voice matters. In times of disagreement, let's choose dialogue over discord. Together, we can find solutions through understanding and respect. Let's build a stronger Nigeria, one conversation at a time. Dialogue, not protest. Unity, not division. Nigeria, united in dialogue.
Thanks for rejoining us. Let's head back now to the National Assembly, where our correspondent Mitari Ikpeng is standing by to give us a feel of what we're to expect at the House of Representatives. Hello, Mitari. All right, Mitari, what are we expecting when the legislators
Hello,
reconvene?
Dennis. Good morning.
What are we expecting, Mitari, when the legislators reconvene for this sitting?
Yes, Dennis, good morning.
What are we expecting, Mitari, when the legislators reconvene for this sitting?
All right, Dennis, thank you so much.
This morning, the House of Representatives has put together a town hall meeting to engage with youth groups and organizations, all in a bid to avert the planned nationwide protest billed for tomorrow. As far as this planned nationwide protest is concerned, there is preponderance of opinion and a consensus that it could be hijacked by non-state actors to cause chaos in the country, and that is why the House leadership has waded in to organize this town hall meeting to meet with youth groups and organizations and hear from them on possible solutions to some of the issues they are raising and agitating for. And as a result, the House leadership has opted for dialogue, and this dialogue will be taking place here at the House of Representatives. Already, a lot of the representatives of the youth groups are already in the chamber while we await the coming of the Speaker to commence the town hall meeting. At this point in time, I just want to bring on set the chairman of the House Committee of Youth in Parliament, his Honorable Olamiju Wonlo Alao Akala, who will give us further insight into this engagement and this effort to wade into the matter by the House of Representatives.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Honorable. So what does the House intend to achieve by this engagement with youth groups?
Yeah, good morning. My name is Olamiju Wonlo Alao Akala. I said this is a timely and intervention from the House, but you know already that this is part of the agenda of the House, of the 10th Assembly. So it's a periodical youth engagement. But unfortunately, it's coming at the time when the youth are agitating for protest. So we can say it's timely to be able to listen to them for their agitation, to know why they want to run this protest. We know for certain reasons, but what they want us to do, the immediate goals and the long-term goals, what they want, because we can't say because we are here, we know it all. Sometimes we need to listen to the people who are serving. We are serving them, and you know that the youth are the large demographics of the population of Nigeria. So we need to listen to them to understand their pains and their gains, what they want to achieve, what they want us to achieve with the office they've given us, and also we that are youth in Parliament, and also also want to engage with them to understand their pains, so that we can translate it into bills and motions, so I can translate to laws that can help them, and help the common man, and can help all the future and the today of the Nigerian youth.
Okay, I would also like to ask, prior to this engagement, or at the moment, are there issues that will be on the table? Are there specific issues that will be on the table?
It's a town hall meeting, so there are no specific issues that will be on the table. In a town hall meeting, we are here to listen to the people. We're here to listen to what issues they have. If you put issues on the table, we're already detecting the tone of what we want. No, there are no issues on the table. We are here on a plain slate, saying, okay, this is we, your servant. What do you want us to do for you? What are your needs?
Thank you, Honorable Akala. And so, Dennis, you've heard from Honorable Akala there, who has said that it is on a clean slate, and the House will not dictate what will be discussed at this town hall meeting today. Rather, the House will be hearing from the youth groups to know what their agitations are, with a view to putting them together in the form of bills and other legislative mechanisms, with a view to bringing solutions to the problems that will be raised here today. And that's it, Dennis.
All right, Mitari, many thanks for giving us that update, and we certainly hope this intervention and the engagements with the youth groups will yield the desired results. Thank you, Mitari. Now, Minister of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs, Nta News24, says a total of 667 intervention projects were completed and certified across the states of the Federation in 2023. The minister stated this at an interactive session with a cross-section of the media in Abuja. Kenneth Nanim reports.
Timely completion of constituency and other intervention projects in the rural communities sometimes are not realizable, and they are abandoned to the detriment of the beneficiaries. This, Minister Gisalo says the current administration is synergizing with all stakeholders to change the narrative to ensure quality projects are delivered to the people.
We are hoping that between now and December, January, most of this project will be completed.
Chieftaincy Affairs. As the ministry overseeing the local communities and chieftaincy affairs, the minister says he will ensure that local government councils leverage the full autonomy granted to them to curb criminal activities and engender development in the rural communities. On the proposed nationwide protest, the minister acknowledges citizens' rights to peaceful protest but urges for reconsideration due to previous experiences of protests of such nature.
And recently, even Kenya, the one we are giving an example with Kenya, what was the result? They are counting losses. This government is not saying don't protest, but also look at the anarchy. What will happen to your children? What will happen to your wife? What will happen to your parent? What will happen to your property?
He also expresses government readiness to harmonize activities of the agencies under the ministry to enable them surmount challenges for sustainable development, while strategizing to strengthen partnerships on public awareness campaigns. Kenneth Nanim, Nta News.
In line with the federal government's resolve to revive the steel industry, the Senate has opened an investigation into the current state of the Ajaokuta Steel Company Limited. At the commencement of the hearing, the legislators raised questions on the 4.2 billion naira appropriated to the company in 2024 for personnel costs. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali reports.
Ajaokuta Steel Company has been out of operation for close to 4 decades, but is alleged to be enjoying budgetary allocations. In the 2024 appropriation, 4.2 billion naira was allocated for personnel, and that was the center of attention for legislators at this investigative hearing.
Somebody must be paying the salaries. How do you fund them? And under what heading?
We also have to look at the share, sales and purchase agreements between the federal government of Nigeria and Global Infrastructure Nigeria Limited and Global Steel Holdings Limited. Also investigate the extent of the compliance and performance of GINL in line with the terms of concession agreement.
The chairman of the ad hoc committee says Senate would be diligent in its engagement with all related stakeholders to get the steel mill back in shape. In another development, the Senate says the bill seeking regulation and documentation of domestic workers is to prevent security breach and human rights violation.
Most of the domestic workers are predominantly women, very vulnerable and subjected to all manner of abuses. So the intent of the bill is to sanitize the sector. At the same time, even create a new economy.
Stakeholders at the public hearing were in agreement that regulating the industry will bring sanity. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, Nta News.
So the news now today is World Rangers Day, and it is celebrated globally on the 31st to honor rangers killed or injured in the line of duty and to celebrate the work rangers do to protect the planet's natural treasures and cultural heritage. We now join correspondent Charles Alpha, the National Park Service in Abuja, to intimate us with activities lined up for the celebration. Hello, Charles, just tell us what do we have lined up as we commemorate this day?
All right, Dennis, thank you very much for joining me. What Nigeria and the rest of the world are doing today is a function of what the International Ranger Federation, and backed on in 1992 to conserve and recognize the sacrifices and the contribution of park rangers, and the theme 30 by 30 of this year, 30 by 30, the theme for 2024 World Park Rangers Day. And what it means is that this is based on the United Nations Convention on Biological Convention, where world leaders agree that certain areas, green areas, 30% of green areas should be conserved and protected no matter the impact of climate impact. And so developing countries such as Nigeria are having issues doing this just because of one thing, the challenges that you talked about, some rangers have been maimed, some have been killed, some have been injured on the line of duty. And what this day is aiming to achieve is recognize the sacrifices these people have made. Earlier on today, just a while ago, the Comptroller General of National Park Service, Haji Ibrahim Goni, was standing by to actually talk to us, but because of exigency of duty, he now had to work with the representative of the Minister of Environment to inspect the guards of honor. Now, so what today is going to be doing basically is honoring those that have fallen for the National Park Service of Nigeria. Between 1991 and date, they have lost 20 park rangers. And this is because of the activities of bandits and activities of terrorist group and mining activities that have all are all clashing with activities of rangers. Today, there's also going to be inauguration of the elephant sculpture that has been created, and that is going to be commissioned today. But on the whole, what today is all about is recognizing the number of those that have been killed and how they can, bring justice to park rangers that have lost their life over the years. Dennis.
All right, Charles, we thank you for that overview of what we're celebrating today, and it certainly sounds like a laudable celebration that is to come. Thank you, Charles.
All right, thank you, Dennis.
Reports say telecommunication service providers have complied with the Nigerian Communications Commission's directive for SIM cards blocked as a result of non-linkage to NIN to be reactivated. Telecommunication subscribers say the deactivation, which caused unpleasant reactions, has negatively affected their livelihoods and business activities. Olajide Bello reports.
For reasons best known to them, they are making people to find it difficult to register the thing. Even when you go physically to register in the offices, you come in the morning, you stay till evening. Sometimes they will tell you to come the next day.
Elochukwu Onyora, a civil servant in the Federal Capital Territory, recounting the Herculean task of linking the National Identification Number NIN to the Subscriber Identification Module SIM cards. Left for him, as the world is adopting technology in all spheres of human endeavors, such should be replicated by service providers.
When we have opportunity to make use of app to do the registration online, why asking people to come and queue in their offices? For what reason?
Others, like Elochukwu, also had similar tales to tell.
I'm surprised, and I registered with the NIM. My plan was on Monday, okay, let me go to ATN office to go and find out. So when I wake up on Monday morning, I just kept my phone on the table. I just see my phone around.
It affected my mom. My mom's line was blocked too. It was only a MTN that was blocked. She tried reactivating it, but they told her she had to come to the MT office. But because she's of age, I just tell her to relax.
Felix Ide is indifferent, as he, like some other subscribers, were not affected directly. He's calling for attitudinal change by Nigerians in responding to such issues.
I think what we advise those people who have never get their national identity should go for it, because it's not as difficult as before. I think they have decentralized it.
Once an authority has said this is the upgrade, or we should do this, I advise people they should do that as soon as possible.
A stitching time, they say, saves 9, as the temporary window given by the Nigerian Communications Commission for reactivation of lines affected by the NIN SIM verification issue is counting, after reviewing the deadline from April 15, 2024 to July 31st. Affected subscribers are expected to leverage the opportunity to ensure to do the needful. Olajide Bello, Nta News.
Nigeria is devising a new strategy to address the gaps hindering access to family planning services, especially funding, as key players driving the FP 2030 target are shifting focus to generating up-to-date data for tracking and accountability purposes. Olusheye Adebo has details on a one-day family planning stakeholders accountability meeting held in Abuja.
Recent United Nations projections place Nigeria among the 8 countries that will contribute to world population growth till 2050. Statistics reveals that family planning, currently at 12%, is contributing to the high fertility rate of 5.3% among women, with 19% of Nigeria's adolescents at 19 becoming mothers. Here, accelerating efforts to meet national commitments on family planning 2030 and identifying the project's limitations dominates this cause.
We'll reach 27 by 2030. We're still at 12. The data also shows that we're also not harvesting the data from the private sector for our family planning. We also have seen that there are a lot of gaps in terms of funding.
And it's for National Assembly itself to do 2 things. One, to safeguard whatever the Ministry of Health has allocated for family planning and add more to it through whatever the savings they get within the ministry, so that family planning activities can be effectively implemented.
For the chairman, National Population Commission and partners, having verifiable and comprehensive data for proper assessment of Nigeria's demography is not negotiable.
We just concluded the NDHS, and like I said, it is just a survey. It is not a census. So we have data that you can just use as a guide. But the main data that is required is the census data. And once we have this, everybody can access it and they'll be able to track progress in whatever they're doing.
We advocate for for health services, all health services to be delivered under one roof. That is primary health care under one roof. And a client can come to the primary health center and obtain family planning services, or obtain adolescent health services, and all these other services put together makes it comfortable for the clients to have quality care that is efficient and effective.
The target is to allow individuals, especially women, make right choices on family planning and have access to quality health care services. In Abuja, Olusheye Adiagbo, Nta News.
Let's now get the latest in the world of sports.
Nigeria's sole representative Oluwapo Okpeyori fell short in his opening group game against Tobias Coendi of Switzerland, where he lost 2-0 in the men's badminton singles. The two-time African Games champion demonstrated commendable skill as he nearly clinched the first set, leading by 3 set points. However, he ultimately lost in the tiebreak with a score of 22-20. In the second set, Okpeyori managed to pull up a comeback where he tied the scores at 6-6, but Coendi didn't relent as he eventually took the set in 21-14, ending the game in a 2-0 victory. Despite this setback, Okpeyori will return to the court later today to compete against China's Li Shifeng. Meanwhile, Nigeria's Super Falcons have a final chance to put a smile on the faces of their fans as they take on Japan in their final Group C Paris 2024 Olympics Games at the Stade de la Beaujoire in Nantes. Japan and Nigeria lost their opening Group C games, but the Japanese nicked 3 points in their second game against Brazil, while Nigeria lost to Spain, leaving their last group game open as both sides look to qualify. Japan need just a point to qualify, while the Super Falcons need to win by at least 2 goals to get to the next stage of the tournament as best losers. South Africa is the highest-ranked African nation currently on the medal table with 1 gold and 2 bronze. Tunisia and Egypt are the only other African countries to have at least 1 medal.
And let's now head to the foreign scene.
Fresh protests have broken out in Venezuela's capital, Caracas, after the disputed result of the country's presidential election. Thousands gathered in the city center to show their opposition to President Nicolas Maduro's claim of victory. The protesters say they will not stop until there was a new government. Also, media sources claim the head of the National Electoral Council, who announced the results, that Maduro had won 51% of votes ahead of Gonzalez with 44%, is a member of Maduro's party and used to work as his legal advisor, and declared the president re-elected for a 3rd consecutive term. So far, The Electoral Authority failed to publish detailed voting tallies, which the opposition say indicates the result was fraudulent. Meanwhile, in another section of the city, groups also gathered in support of President Maduro's victory. The Central African Republic has become the latest country in the region to declare an outbreak of Mpox virus. The health minister confirmed the infections have spread to capital Bangui after being restricted to rural areas. The health minister also told local media that some families were hiding infected relatives due to stigma, thus increasing the risk to others. Cases of the highly infectious disease have recently been detected in Rwanda and Burundi, while a new strain has been spreading in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Records show DR Congo recorded more than 12,300 suspected cases and 479 deaths in the first half of this year. Neighboring country Burundi recently confirmed 3 new cases, while Rwanda detected 2. South Africa has recorded 20 cases, including 2 deaths.
Let's now get a recap of our top stories. Planned nationwide protest, federal government in extensive consultations and deliberations to convince promoters. Inspector General of Police Kayode Egbetokun engages heads of paramilitary agencies, pledges to protect peaceful protesters. Senate queries 4.2 billion naira allocation to unverified workers at Ajaokuta Steel Company in 2024 budget. And Ministry of Special Duties and Intergovernmental Affairs gives update on national intervention projects. Now, we all know her, and Onyeka Onwenu, a US-trained broadcaster, came into prominence in the 80s when she joined the NTA. But beyond her brief stint in the world of broadcasting, Onyeka gradually blossomed into a musical artist of excellence with record-breaking tunes to her name, earning her the Golden Voice and Elegant Stallion. Onyeka Onwenu's prominence and love for the craft was never in question. As she exits at 72, people marvel at a woman who stood elegant, singing up a storm till her last breath. We'll bring you a tribute of the late icon in our subsequent bulletins. In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu extends his profound condolences to the family of late Miss Onyeka Onwenu, singer, songwriter, actor, journalist, activist, and politician. President Tinubu mourns the passing of the Queen of Songs, whose edifying and mellifluous rendition, One Love, in the 1990s evoked a fervor of fellowship and harmony. The president recalls the many artistic interventions of the late musical icon in promoting public good, noting her classic collaboration with King Sunny Ade on Wait For Me, a melodic campaign on family planning in the 1980s. The president condoles with the entertainment industry, the Imo State government, and the numerous fans of the departed star over this immeasurable loss. He prays for the repose of the soul of the deceased artist, and that she finds a place yonder where the music never fades and where there is dancing in the sun. And with that, we conclude the news at 10 on NTA News 24. Thanks for watching. I am Dennis Adegunloye.